And we're going to talk about paintings in response to our environment. You guys hear me okay? Am I holding this right? This is a painting on a white background, a white wall. This is a painting in its native context. This is a painting without a bearing or a relationship to a human being. This we have some kind of a scale reference for humanity. These are paintings that emerge and recede in a living context. These are variations on a theme. I'm going to talk about a case study in particular later, but I'm giving you a little bit of a contextual reference and some bearing for where the later work will have come from. The artist has emerged in the painting, and it's helpful to have people's immersion afterwards in mind in that process. And again, it's a little bit different than a flat graphic or a logo or something that exists on a flat plane. And essentially they're 2D, but they're also things, they're objects that exist in our space with us. They're things we make and distribute and move around. These are some different tags at the presentation on buckets, on chairs. This felt like flipping chairs over. It felt like a radical way to present the work. Something that you have to walk around, move through. And this led to experimenting with space itself. This is an event space that existed at Fulton and Damon for a number of years called Open End. It was later called Aviary. Multidisciplinary art space, indie rock shows, concerts, theater. The floor plan here, basically there's windows along two walls. The main active area for painting was on these other ones. What you saw in the previous slide was that little room up there. It's probably maybe 12 feet tall. The space itself, the whole thing was about as big as the larger part of this room. So how do you draw on a space like this as if it were a piece of paper, something manageable for human scale? Gridding off the walls with chalk, taking an expressive mark, kind of a calligraphic mark, and scaling it up, and trying to imagine a user's experience coming into the room. There's a red cue here on this wall. As you round the corner, you arrive here, and that little red dot actually points at this red dot. There's a blue surprise on this wall as you come around. So these are some of the thoughts involved in composition. It's not making a drawing and forcing it onto a wall, but rather assessing the environment, assessing the space, and doing something that makes sense at a human level in it. Tried handling that little rectangular room a few different ways over the years, then too. Just real quickly, look on the top left, this is trying to make it become invisible. This is taking this line drawing and making it jump off the walls with extensions. Based on years of doing that, I was invited to do a mural at the Paul University Art Museum in August of last year. Hosted by the Stockyard Institute, it was a whole range of pedagogical actions, rotating art over the course of 6 months. A lot of community involvement, a lot of workshops, everything was very much in flux. And this is the space there. And the film that I was assigned, this is like about midway, maybe 3 months into the show. I was given this wall and that little short wall on the top. This is the gallery entrance. So people would come in, assess a lot of this first, and ultimately see this when they come around the corner. The surprise was that one of the pieces of art that had rotated into the space was this, and that's my wall. And there's about a foot between this and the wall. And it's strung up with wires. Couldn't move this thing. And they said, hey Rob, you said you'd like to respond to other things in the room, right? You said you'd like to have these design challenges with other objects to paint around. I might have just skipped a slide, but basically here's what's going on. Track all the shadows on the wall from the thing first. I think my slides might be out of order at this point, so bear with me. Because the wall is not a blank rectangle at this point. The gallery lights cast shadows onto the wall, and that's my channel for interacting with this three-dimensional object in front of it. So rather than trace the shadow, painting in concert with the shadows became the key part of my approach. So you see with the wing here, it makes a chevron shape. This red chevron shape mirrors that, moves you into the composition behind the sculpture. Trying to seize opportunities to make a three-dimensional object disintegrate into the wall. False perspective in the corner. The ceiling of the room is black. So I drop the line down to the corner to make a false perspective, just to make a little more room there. As you come around the plane, you can see some things behind it. These are shots of the mural just afterwards without the plane, after the plane went out. So there's a second life to the mural too. For a few months, it would have the sculpture in front of it. The sculpture was leaving to go someplace else, and the mural would stand on its own. So it needed compositional integrity after that too. That's me.